Brew, you're talking a little boxing
along with
this
Muhammad
morning.
Ali. Yeah, along with Muhammad Ali, Jenna, Sugar Ray Leonard's my favorite fighter of all time. And yesterday, he and Tommy Hearns were in Los Angeles to celebrate the 40th anniversary of their epic first fight in which Sugar Ray knocked out Hearns in the 14th round to win that fight that he was losing on all of the cards. So outside, after their talk, they met and talked about everything. They began talking about the second fight, 1989, the rematch 8 years later, which was declared a draw. Take a listen.
Thomas should have got the decision. I told him that 1,000 times.
Oh, that's you.
Say it now. Look at me in my eye.
1989 fight.
1989, Tommy.
Look at me in my eye. Don't choke up. Look at me.
1989, you should have won. You should have got that decision.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay?
Oh, that's you.
That's you. Yep. That's my buddy.
Oh, now, the reason Sugar Ray said that was because Hearns knocked him down twice in the fight. Now, Sugar Ray hurt Hearns more than vice versa, but Hearns did knock him down twice. The interesting thing about these fights was that Leonard was an extraordinary boxer. Hearns was an extraordinary puncher, the Mike Tyson of the welterweight division. But when they fought, they flipped roles. And Sugar Ray became the puncher, and Hearns outboxed Leonard. So I want today's boxers, though, to learn from these two warriors. All right, fight each other. This was an era when the best fighters fought each other. They didn't worry about getting a loss on their record. They would try to come back and avenge it if they had to. And I'm talking to Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., the two best welterweights in the world. They won't fight each other. Don't wait years like Floyd did with Manny. He waited years. I want to see these dudes start fighting each other again. None of them want to lose. But you can come back from a loss. Sugar Ray lost to Duran. He came back and beat Marvin Hagler, beat Duran again, and had another fight with Hearns. So learn from this, today's boxers, or else celebrity boxing might start infringing on your territory.
No. Oh, no.
Good take. Good take.
No.
Built to serve.
Aaron Rodgers came out firing at the media yesterday. What's got Aaron so hot coming off that big Monday win? Zeke has found himself sharing carries this season. Does Dallas actually have an Ezekiel Elliott problem? And coming off a loss in week 2, will the Chiefs move down from the top spot on Nick's NFL tiers? Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First, alongside Nick and his tiers and Chris Broussard and Kevin Wildes. I'm Jenna Wolf. Nick, all we can ask for is fair consideration by the committee when factoring in the Chiefs this week.
Well, sad to report, 2 members of the committee are no longer with us, and we'll get into why at 8 a.m. Eastern. The committee is down a couple people. It was a controversial day.
We've got
controversial day, Jenna.
To discuss. Wow. You know me. It's drama. Hey, we'll get to the committee after we get to Ben Simmons. Another page turned yesterday in the drama-filled offseason for Simmons. Speaking of drama, pardon me, drama has me all fired up. Woj reported the All-Star will not be reporting for training camp and that he never intends to play for the Sixers again. Philly's been trying to move Simmons, but the offers for Ben have been underwhelming. I'd imagine this does not help. Chris Broussard, let me start with you. What do you make of the way Ben Simmons is handling his likely Philly exit?
Well, this is the way to do it. If you are adamant about leaving a franchise, this is the way to do it. We found out last year that being Mr. Nice Guy doesn't work. James Harden tried to be Mr. Nice Guy in Houston, work with the team. I'm going to play, but, we'll work towards a trade. And he came out in the first 3 games and averaged 37 points and 11 assists. And the Rockets are like, oh, he's balling. Yeah, we'll work on a trade, James. Wink, wink. James saw that they weren't going to trade him, or at least not anytime soon. So then he went comatose over 5 games, played well below his standards, and all of a sudden he got moved out of Houston. So this is the way to do it. Ultimately, what I think Philadelphia ends up doing is not buckling to Ben right away. I think that they'll start the season without him. He'll be away from the team. and they'll wait to see how things go in Portland. Do they start slowly under Chauncey Billups, the new coach? How things go in Washington? They got a lot of new pieces. Is it a rocky start? And maybe Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal or elsewhere some other top players become available, then you make a move. Now, let me say this quickly, Nick. So I get what Ben is doing. Here's what I don't like. He's playing the victim card. He is putting himself in the role of victim. Woe is me. They're treating me so badly in Philly. And I get it. You don't like what Doc and Joel Embiid said after that series with Atlanta. And I understand that. You don't like that Philadelphia had all but traded you to Houston last year before the season started. I get all that. But I would like to see Ben Simmons understanding that, look in the mirror, and say, I'm going to prove Doc and Embiid wrong.
I gotta
get better.
That?
I didn't deliver. Yeah.
Let me just ask you a question about that before I give my take. Is it fair to say he's playing the victim card when he hasn't said anything publicly? That would be like, we haven't heard from Ben since the end of the season. So elaborate on why you feel that way, and then I'll give my take. Because Ben has been radio silent, at least on the record or with anybody.
Right. But obviously his representatives and his actions are speaking for themselves. His disdain for the 76ers organization. Won't even talk to him, since that meeting they had out in L.A. Can't even show up for training camp. Never wants to put the uniform on again. That speaks volumes. And what I'm saying is I get your anger. But, Ben, you didn't deliver. You didn't deliver. You did shoot 34% from the foul line in the playoffs. You did refuse to take even layups in the fourth quarter against Philadelphia. You have been there for 4 years and still won't shoot jump shots. I get your anger, but you got to look in the mirror. Magic Johnson, Nick, in '84, after he was Tragic Johnson in the finals against Boston, looked in the mirror and said, I got to get better. Michael Jordan, when the Pistons were beating him up in the playoffs, looked in the mirror and said, I'm not strong enough. I got to get in the weight room. I got to get better. LeBron James in 2011, after the failure in Dallas, said, not only, Nick, I got to be a better player, I got to be a better person, LeBron said. He looked in the mirror. Why can't Ben Simmons look in the mirror?
So, listen, I think that's all fair. And that's why I wanted you to elaborate, because I think some people will be like, well, he hasn't said anything. But I get what you're saying, which is this marriage has broken up and both parties are at fault. Like, if I were in Daryl Morey's shoes and James Harden were available, of course I would try to acquire him, and of course I would trade Ben Simmons for James Harden. But there is a cost of that, and that is if we don't get James Harden, now my second best player knows I was trying to trade him. Not speculation, not conjecture. He knows it. And Ben, of course, has accountability because of a lack of growth as a player. Now, where I will give Ben and his folks credit is, and this is the slimmest of credit, but I think it is noteworthy, and I think the Sixers appreciate it, at least he has said any team. Like, I'm demanding to be traded, but to any team in the league. Not here's 3 teams you can trade me to. And so that does allow Philly some flexibility. But the fact of the matter, there's so many wild levels to this. There is like the league level, which is they do not want training camp holdouts to come back. That was a thing in the 90s that happened, and the league hated it, and we really haven't seen them in 25 years. Here's another thing the league doesn't want. Player empowerment's one thing. Guys forcing their way out of spots with 4 years left on a deal.
Right.
The next step to that is sign the extension because the home team can pay you more, and a week later, not a year later, a week later, be like, I wanted the money, but I don't want to play here. So there's external pressures. In the short term,